Thank you for taking the time to serve as a judge for an Enactus competition. Today, you will be participating in judging an Enactus National Challenge. Developed through collaboration with corporate and organizational partner companies, national challenges empower Enactus teams to implement viable solutions to economic, social, or environmental needs through a specific type of intervention. The challenges taking place today are the Capital One Financial Education Challenge, the Scotiabank EcoLiving Green Challenge, and the TD Entrepreneurship Challenge. During this video, we'll review what the presentation structure looks like and what you'll see in the rooms. We will talk about the judging criterion along with the things to look out for when making your assessments. Finally, we'll provide you an overview of the judging tools that have been designed to assist you in evaluating the teams, and we will review the decision-making and scoring process. As a quick note, there will also be additional training that is specific to your challenge provided in your competition rooms. Let's begin with the structure of the presentations that you will see today. The competition rooms you'll be in is called a league. While you'll only be judging the teams in your league, all the teams in every league are subject to the same format and rules. Each team has a maximum presentation time of 15 minutes, including the distribution of an annual report, a live audio-visual presentation, and a question and answer period. Following the team's introduction by the league coordinator, they will have 3 minutes to give you their annual report and set up their audio-visual equipment. The team cannot begin their presentation before the 3 minutes has expired, as this time is also provided for you to read the annual report and familiarize yourself with their projects. Following the setup time, the team has up to 7 minutes for their audio-visual presentation. Please note, teams are not required to use the full 7 minutes and there's no penalty for finishing early. When the presentation has concluded, there will be a 5-minute question and answer period where you will have the opportunity to ask questions of the team. During the question and answer time, please refrain from making lengthy statements or sharing too many praises of the team. Time is limited and other judges may have questions, so please focus your remarks on asking concise questions directly related to the team and its activities. A final note regarding the presentation structure. In addition to their annual report, teams are invited to distribute a team bio. However, they are not allowed to distribute any other materials to the judges. If a team chooses to display materials during their presentation, the judges are not permitted to touch or keep the displayed materials. If the team displays something that you are interested in obtaining a sample of, you can make a request of the team at the end of the day, only after the results of the competition have been announced. Now, please turn to page 5 of your judging handbook. It is a green page. On this page, you will see an individual team evaluation sheet, which is the judging criterion written on the top with elements of the judging criterion broken down below. Every Enactus team worldwide works within the same framework of first seeing opportunity, which includes conducting a thorough needs assessment. Second is taking action, which speaks to the team creating a business-based solution that the team has implemented. And finally, third is enabling progress, which includes measuring and reporting direct and indirect outcomes, empowering their chosen target audience, and how well they have improved livelihoods in an economically, socially, and environmentally sustainable way. For each section and the elements within them, the form provides a scale of excellent to insufficient for you to evaluate the success of the team in achieving the particular item. As each team presents, we recommend that you use this evaluation form to take notes and mark down your assessments in each area. Alright, let's move into the first section of the criterion, where you will assess the team's effectiveness in conducting a thorough needs assessment with the target audience. For this section of the criterion, you need to evaluate how well the team researched the challenge which they are trying to address through both primary and secondary research. It is important prior to any project starting that a team fully understands the issue or issues that they're trying to address. Beyond available data, teams should show that they spoke and engaged with their target audiences to gain a level of understanding and empathy. A needs assessment requires communication, understanding, and challenging long-standing assumptions about what outcomes people need. Teams should communicate to you what they learned from their needs assessment and how they took that information into account when designing the project. Just a quick note on the taking action portion of the criterion. While the other 4 components of the criterion are the same for all challenges, the taking action component is different for each challenge as it speaks to the type of intervention that the team took. More training on this portion of the criterion will take place in your judging rooms. Now, let's move on to the section titled Enabling Progress on your judging evaluation form. The first section of this portion of the criterion gets you to assess the team's effectiveness in measuring and reporting direct and indirect outcomes. Outcomes refer to the benefits or changes for individuals or populations during or after participating in program activities. They are influenced by a program's outputs. Outcomes may relate to behavior, skills, knowledge, attitudes, values, condition, status, or other attributes. They are what participants know, think, or can do, or how they behave, or what their condition is that is different following the program. Direct outcomes refer to any outcomes achieved with the individuals the team has worked directly with. Direct impact can be claimed when the project target audience takes the skills and or knowledge they learn during the initial stages of the project and implement those skills and or knowledge in their lives. Indirect outcomes are any outcomes that were achieved with the other individuals who may have been interacted with the project but the team did not work directly with. For example, say a team works with 2 local coffee shop owners to improve their business model and increase sales, which makes it possible to hire 5 more people. The direct impact would be 2 individuals, who are the owners the team worked with directly, and the indirect impact would be the 5 people who were hired. Enactus teams shall lay out their outcomes to show how they've improved livelihoods, which essentially is the means and activities involved in sustaining an individual's life. Livelihoods are fueled by what are known as livelihood assets. There are 5 categories of livelihood assets. The first is financial assets, which are the financial resources available to an individual, such as income from a job or access to financial services. The next is natural assets, which refers to the natural resources available to an individual, such as air, water, or land. Following this are social assets, which involves the participation in networks, communities, and our relationships. The fourth area is human assets, which refers to the skills, knowledge, and ability to work needed to pursue desired outcomes. Finally, we have physical assets, which refers to basic infrastructure and goods such as shelter, transportation, water supply, sanitation, or energy. It is not mandated that every one of the team's projects address all of the asset categories. It is also not mandated that each team run projects to address each asset category individually. Instead, the categories are a means of looking holistically at the outcomes of the project. Definitions and a list of the livelihood assets can be found in your Judge Handbook. For this section, here are a few tips on what to look for. First, understand the difference between outputs and outcomes. For example, while it may be impressive that a team ran 20 sessions with their target audience of 100 individuals, that in and of itself is merely an output. What Enactus is interested in is core outcomes. So you should be looking for how those 100 individuals translated what they learned into improved livelihood outcomes. Another thing to note is if the team is actually measuring the right outcomes for the needs identified earlier in the challenge. Make sure that the team's reported results actually address the challenge that was originally outlined and that they are measuring the right outcomes. In addition, please note that these outcomes should relate to the challenge which you are judging. The lead coordinator for your competition will provide you with some sample outcomes later in the training. Okay, let's move on to the next part of the criterion on assessing the team's effectiveness in empowering people. To understand this section of the criterion, you might think of the proverb, give a man a fish and he will eat for a day, teach a man to fish and he will eat for a lifetime. Teams directly empower individuals when the project beneficiaries take the skills and knowledge they learn during the initial stages of the project and implement them in their lives. A collaborative approach is key when working with the target audiences to ensure long-term empowerment solutions. To score well on this portion of the criterion, look to see if audience have moved from dependency to self-sufficiency. That is, without the help of the team, could the target audience use their newfound knowledge to continue to improve their livelihood? The final portion of the criterion gets you to assess the team's effectiveness in improving livelihoods in an economically, socially, and environmentally sustainable way. This is in reference to the triple bottom line concept, also known as People, Profit, Planet, and is meant to illustrate that for a project or initiative to be truly effective and sustainable, it must make sense economically as well as socially and environmentally. To score well in this area, when presenting to you, the team should show that they consider the 3 factors for each project and that no negative impact occurred in any of the areas. As you can see, the form also provides you space to give the team valuable insights or suggestions related to the team's activities and projects. There is also an optional section where you may give constructive feedback on the team's ability to communicate results through their annual report and audiovisual presentation. We strongly encourage you to provide as much feedback as possible through these individual team evaluation forms. Now that we have gone through the criterion, there are a few additional points that are important in your evaluation of the teams. Some teams will have projects with multiple phases that might even take place over multiple years. It's important to judge each team based on the results from the current academic year, not just on ideas, plans, or previous results. In addition to that, projects that clearly demonstrate improved livelihoods should be evaluated significantly higher than those whose full impact has yet to materialize. It is not uncommon for teams to partner with other organizations on projects. However, it is very important that the team clearly defines the relationship they had with any partner organization and clarify exactly what their role and contributions were, as well as the degree of impact they can legitimately and fairly take credit for. Teams are not required to conduct international projects. Although it may be impressive to see that some teams are able to impact those outside their home country, this mere international activity should not automatically warrant the team additional credit in your evaluation. Your focus should always be on the relevance, depth, and meaningful impact of the project, regardless of whether it's being held abroad or here in Canada. We strongly encourage you to seek clarification during the question and answer period if you feel any aspect of the team's projects, partnerships, and/or outcomes are not clearly defined in their annual report or live presentation. You'll most certainly see some teams today with some very sophisticated presentations that use the latest in print and electronic technology. While presentation excellence and creativity is encouraged, it is your responsibility as a judge to look past it. Your sole evaluation as a judge is to simply judge using the criterion that is provided to you. Now that we've gone through the criterion and individual team evaluation form, let's discuss the scoring process. The most important tool that can assist you with this process is the Cumulative evaluation form, which is the yellow sheet at the back of your handbook. Before the first team presents in your league, please take a few minutes to write in the names of each of the teams at the top of this form in the order that they will present. Also at the top of this form is an overall assessment legend, which you will use as a basis for final marks and rankings. After each team presents, you will look what you recorded on the individual team evaluation form for each item and give the team an appropriate mark on the cumulative evaluation form. For example, for Team ABC, if your assessment of conducting a thorough needs assessment with the target audience was that the team did excellent, then you will enter an E in the relevant box for Team ABC. The cumulative evaluation form, which we just reviewed, will serve as your guide to ranking the teams at the conclusion of the competition day. After the final presentation, you'll finish completing the form and then use this information to give each team a ranking, with 1 being your first choice. It is essential that each team receive a different ranking, as no ties are allowed. Once all judges have completed their cumulative evaluation forms and ranked the teams, your league coordinator or a member of the Enactus staff will guide you through the final stages of the voting process to pick an overall winner from your league. It is very important that judges, league coordinators, and/or Enactus staff members not engage in conversation about the results before or during the voting process. The ranking of teams is an individual decision made by each judge. Please note that the results from the league must remain confidential until they are announced at the award ceremony. So now that we have covered everything, we hope that you're feeling very comfortable in your role as an Enactus judge. In addition to that, I hope you are excited to see some of the great presentations to learn about what our students have been doing to use entrepreneurial action to improve lives. Thank you again for your attention and for taking the time to serve in this role. There are some additional details about the day for us to share with you before you begin the judging process. And for those details, I will turn it back over to the Enactus representative leading the orientation.